Hey everyone, it is Wednesday, and we are here with the Inflatable Falcon to talk Star Wars, and we even have a guest. So more to come in just a few minutes. Now, if it wouldn't be the Inflatable Falcon if I didn't press the wrong button. So here we go.
I've been running scams on the street since I was 10. I've been running scams on the street since I was 10.
Hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that inflates for free. Hey, Ken, what's the drill? Blue milk sipping gives me a thrill. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. Left, right, left, we're marching through. Cosplay helmets and a saber or two. Hey, Mike, what's the plan? To nerd out harder than anyone can. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. So grab your gear and join the crew. Mike and Ken got a show for you. Laughs and stars and a galaxy far. The Falcon's ready, let's raise the bar. Hey! Hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that inflates for free. Hey, Ken, what's the drill? Blue milk sipping gives me a thrill. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. Left, right, left, we're marching through. Cosplay helmets and a saber or two. Hey, Mike, what's the plan? To nerd out harder than anyone can. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. So grab your gear and join the crew. Mike and Ken got a show for you. Laughs and stars and a galaxy.
There we go.
All right.
Well, if anyone hasn't noticed, Ken is not here today, but I am joined by an old friend, not old in age, but old. I've known you a while.
Yeah.
Jake Stetler, Star Wars fan, podcaster, filmmaker, award winner. I was looking at all your awards, like 12 plus awards at
Yeah.
least.
Yes, for screenwriting. Yeah.
Yeah, and Western expert, right?
I don't know about expert, but yeah, but it's one of my favorite. It's definitely my favorite genre for sure.
Right, because when I was thinking of today's show, and I'll let you do some introductions and stuff, and let people know a little bit about you. But I always think of Star Wars and the Western genre, and stuff like that. So we do have I have the live chat on. So we do have a Mandalorian in here saying good evening. And I think people that love Mandalorians of any kind are going to be really thrilled about the Western
Yeah, for sure.
genre. So I'll ask a couple questions and then we'll just let it go.
Sure.
Before Star Wars, and I know you and I think you're a little bit younger than I. I mean, but
No, we're pretty close. I'm an OG. I saw Star Wars in the theaters in '77. So
okay, so we're roughly
Yeah.
my superheroes before superheroes and my Star Wars before Star Wars was probably the westerns.
Yes, for sure.
Like I was raised on the Lone Ranger. I was raised by my grandfather, so my westerns were probably older than a little bit of the people um, my age. And then Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is what
Yes.
stuck in my head. So
Yes.
if you want to give us your rundown of your up to Star Wars, so your love of westerns and any tell a little bit about anything's going on, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I think my journey as a storyteller in general, I think came from three uh, Star Wars for sure, the original Star Wars, mythology in general, but Joseph Campbell specifically. It was only later that I found out that George Lucas was inspired by Campbell when he wrote Star Wars, and it was like an epiphany. I was like, "Are you?" I've loved both of those, and that he was influenced by that as well, and then westerns. My dad was my entry into all films really, but we used to watch. He'd wake me up. He worked shift work. He'd wake me up and say, "Hey, Jake, you gotta come downstairs. There's an Eastwood film on. You gotta see this one." That type of thing. Or I'd stay up late and we'd watch all old westerns. So like again, I from Stagecoach in 1939, John Ford, to Tombstone in '93. I just love the genre. And again, like we talked about, Star Wars is basically samurai western. It's influenced by Kurosawa and John Ford and that type of thing. So yeah, it was one of the things definitely that inspired me to start writing as a teenager. And I didn't think I would. I didn't really. I don't know if I identified that I would be a writer someday or a filmmaker, but it was always like a passion. And then I became a paratrooper. I was stationed in Panama and did that for 2 years. I'm a veteran, a disabled veteran. I'm actually recovering from knee surgery now from jumping out of airplanes, perfectly good airplanes.
Yes,
And,
yes.
but I tell the story and people think it's like, some kind of like I made this up, that it's apocryphal, but it's I was literally on a jump in Panama and it's all chaos inside there in the aircraft. The wind's blowing when the doors open and there's the jump masters are yelling at you all the commands to get ready to get prepared and check your equipment and then jump out the door. And so it's chaos. And then there's that leap of faith, a literal leap of faith. And you're just waiting to feel that, your risers jerk to make sure your chute opened properly. Right. And then after that, it's complete peace. It's like my dad was a sailor. He was a captain. And it's almost like that. You can hear the parachute fabric just like, in the breeze, and you're above the whole earth, like above the horizon line. And it's just this real peaceful kind of moment. And actually in jump school, we did the tower week and went up. And then when it came down, I was so like, wow, this is amazing. I forgot that I needed to prepare to hit the ground.
Oh,
And I hit hard. And I just remember seeing all these black hats that were the trainers like above me, like almost like in a film where they're doing like a huddle, like a football huddle. There's like 7 or 8 guys, drill sergeants just screaming down at me like, you should have done your parachute landing fall. But in this particular time in Panama, I was just having this epiphany, like, oh, you know what? I always thought I wanted to be into like a career that was action oriented, like, military first and possibly law enforcement or something to that effect. But it just hit me that it's always been action storytelling that I was in.
okay.
It was always, and it just hit me like, oh, that's what I wanted to be. I want to be a writer and a filmmaker. And I mean, literally by the time I hit the ground, that was it. That was all. One of my second lieutenants had been in film school before while he was in ROTC, I think. And I used to have talks with him. And yeah, since then, it's been just been an independent filmmaker and writer. I went to UCLA School of, it's called the online extension program. It was for a 2-year certification in feature film writing, and it was all like working screenwriters who were the professors, and we wrote 2 films there. And it's funny because those films now I've written other films, but those 2 have come full circle. Astray Amber, right there,
Right.
which your daughter Zoe was my first AD. That is in post production. It's been a long time in post production, and that's just the life of an indie filmmaker who's doing it all himself. One man band type of thing.
Right.
And the other is called A Breach of Trust, which has just won the contest with Robert Rodriguez, the legendary filmmaker behind Spy Kids, Desperado, Sin City, Alita Battle Angel.
Book of Boba Fett, right?
Yeah, that's right. That as well. I didn't. We're talking about Star Wars. I need to bring that into it. But yeah, he's based in Austin, and he's starting a new film company called Brass Knuckle Films, and it's doing grounded action films. And you could invest in it. And I did because I've always been a fan. Like Desperado, I don't know how many times I've seen that film. I mean, that's basically a Western as well.
Right.
And all the investors had an opportunity to put in a film idea. It's called Best Idea Wins, and the whole idea was you pitch your story, and one of those he's going to put into development. So this started last year in South by Southwest. He announced this and became an investor, and the first one was a written pitch, and I had to kind of take that screenplay I had and just condense it and make sure I was hitting all the important beats to it. So that went through and got through the second level, and then the second level was a video pitch. So I had to be on, and now it's 2 minutes. That was even harder because I had to condense. Like you had to do a little bio about yourself, and then you had to tell the story visually quickly. So I had made graphics and animated the graphics. I don't know if you saw my first film, The Sanctuary, but the opening credits was kind of moving, almost like a moving graphic novel.
Okay, yeah.
And I did that with this too, and like there's even smoke and fire effects, gunshots hitting and stuff. But it's all animated, and that got me into the last level, which was the finalists. There was 23 of us. It was supposed to be 20. He chose 23 because he couldn't, I guess, decide.
Yeah, that's what you can do when you're the boss, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think we started out, it was 2,500 plus or something, maybe, people who initially did it. Now down to 23. And then that was really exciting and thrilling and daunting a little bit, because then you got to pitch Robert, online on Zoom, and he had 10 minutes. And so he had 3. So just gentleman named Nick came on. He's like, listen, you have 10 minutes. You have like 3 or 4 minutes to pitch it. He has 6 minutes, or so to ask questions. Strict 10 minutes, and it just clicked. I mean, eventually 25 minutes. Well, it just kept going. We went past the 10 minutes. Let's just say that, and I felt pretty good about it. But then it was announced that I won Best Idea Wins with Robert Rodriguez for Breach of Trust. So, and then they actually, again, like you said, the boss, he decided on 2, because he said half his team loved the one idea, half his team loved the other, and he loved both. So they were going to develop both of them.
That's awesome.
It's really exciting. So they basically optioned the idea, and that was just exciting. That, first of all, just to speak to him, but also optioning that idea, and got paid for that. And now they want to try to develop the idea into a film. So, that's, your daughter could attest, like, development's a process too, and you never know if it'll get to a finished film, but that's what the hope is. And each step for me is exciting. I'm going next week to Troublemaker Studios in Austin and get to meet Robert and his crew, and it's going to be a good time. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. So
nice. Well, I mean, like, I like, in my mind's always on Star Wars mode. So I was like, Book of Boba Fett season 2. That's what I was thinking,
Yeah.
But yeah, and you have a Boba Fett helmet in your window there. So
just my son gave me that. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Like, it's a testament to your skill and everything like that. But it's also a testament to just chasing after your dreams. Because I
Yes.
think you and I, from my generation, I remember sitting in my guidance counselor's office telling him I wanted to make films,
Hmm.
and they just told me to come back when I had a better idea. And
That's
and
horrible. They didn't give you the, they didn't. I don't know.
well,
I guess
yeah,
that makes sense. So it is a difficult business, but you think,
yeah, it's just it was just the mindset. I mean, like when I grew up, it was you could have any dream you wanted as long as there was a job that you did 9 to 5 that you could get within a couple years after high school. It was just, and I wasn't as brave as you to go out. And so when I had children, I wanted to make sure that they had those opportunities. I mean, I like what I do now,
oh
but
yeah,
I'm saying like I'm and I learned a bunch about independent film from you and watching Zoe work for you because
yeah,
I didn't understand independent film genre.
right.
Y
That's a
you
whole
know?
thing too. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm like kind of like you though. I work full time, so I'm a working filmmaker. I mean, I've pursued that passion. I work at Moselle University as a audiovisual manager, but um, yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
My alma mater, so
Oh, perfect. See, and
so
I've always been in video production or something like AV related, just as a kind of sister industry to filmmaking.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
again, like you, I wanted to make sure my family. I had a young family. My oldest son, I was a single father, so Caden, who's really into Star Wars, is that was a important to me to be based here and to take care of my family. So the day job came first, but I always thought, I could just didn't stop. I went to a screenplay expo one time in Los Angeles, and I remember going to all the different. And this is fairly early in my career, like learning about this stuff. And I remember going to all the different seminars, and everyone had basically the same two tips. And then, so basically, they said there you have to be persistent, just keep at it, and that's a big part of success. And then be passionate, which of course definitely you and I know we
Right,
are. We're passionate about Star Wars, passionate about storytelling. And then the third thing, it was always something different, but it was how they got into the business. And I thought,
right.
you know what? I was like, so I have those first two, and it just sounds like you really can't wait for a gatekeeper. Because for years I would do contests or try to see about getting to win some, get in somewhere that way. But then I thought, you know what? I'm just doing it. Like, so
Right.
on the plane home, I had like 2 or 3 shorts and some other ideas that on the plane home I literally turned into treatment for my first independent film, which was called No Sanctuary, which is an action film with like mythic elements. Had a whole mythology, and excuse me a second. And by the time I got home, I just thought, if I told everybody, this is November, I thought, if I tell everybody I'm going to make a film in the summertime, I'm going to have to do it because I'm telling everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of those things, you just put it out there in the world, and there's like a quote, something about like, be bold and strange angels will come to your aid. But that's exactly what happened. Like, I would tell everybody I knew that's what I was doing. And meanwhile, I was, focusing on the script and doing pre-production, and somebody would be like, hey, I know a person that's an actor. I know a person that has this, and and it just, things came together. Now, and then that went, raised enough money for production. And again, this is the mistake, or maybe just part of independent filmmaking that I've done twice. I had enough money to film the production, and then I've always had to kind of pay my way through and do the post production myself. So
Right,
that's
right.
always the long process, years process. So yeah, so that's where I'm at.
Well, like for me, I think you and I met via your old Star Wars podcast,
Yes.
Rebel Cause.
Yes. So my son,
So
Caden Patrick Stetler, well, I remember, here's his, so he literally found my original figures. And I didn't have a whole lot left. My mom my mom had like a after school babysitting thing, and like she did daycare in the home, and that was her job. And she would bring out my Star Wars toys for the kids, and I'd come home and my TIE fighter would be broken. I'm like, Mom, you cannot let these babies play with my toys. Anyway, I wish
don't we all? Don't we all?
I cringe at some of how someone come home and see something busted up. But anyway, I had a lot of my figures still, and Caden found them at 3 or 4 years old, and was fascinated with them. And I tell him the stories, and so he saw Star Wars early. I mean, I saw the original in '77 when I was 5 years old. I can still remember. I can still remember hearing the trailer, and this is. I mean, now we're talking old school for some of these people, but we have green plush '70s carpet. We had a TV that was more like a piece of furniture with legs on,
right.
And you couldn't turn it back, you couldn't pause it. So we lived in a bi-level and split level, and I would hear that theme music come on, and I would literally leap the stairs and just get in front of the TV and see as much as the trailers I could see. So I saw my dad in the theaters at 5. Just quick side story that the re-releases came out in was it
97?
97, and Caden, we took Caden to see it. I thought this is perfect. My dad, me, Caden, it's almost like parallel, like the same age that I saw the original. We got there, we got into the theater. He's all excited. Darth Vader comes in for the first time. He loses his mind. He's seen it already at home, but it was he claims to this day that it was because it was so loud that he got scared, but he lost his mind, and we had to leave. I was so upset. We had to leave. We didn't even see it. We passed that opening scene with Darth Vader, but yeah.
Well, I had a friend, and he's still a friend in the 501st, and his son loves Star Wars, but he would get too scared to ever get through any Star Wars movie.
Oh wow!
He would troop with us and all this, and it was like his son's dark secret that he could not sit through an entire Star Wars movie.
Nice.
But yeah, because I think we went to one of your events at the noodle place, I think, or something.
Yes, Isai or EC Noodles. Anyway, yeah. So Caden had he started a nonprofit called Rebel Cause. And I think that website's still up if you want to see what he did, rebelcause.com. But it was Star Wars fans that they were doing events, and whatever we made on the events, or what he made on the events, he would parlay that into helping somebody in need. So one year he purchased Christmas presents for a family that he knew was in need. And then people in costume in Darth Vader and stormtroopers went and helped deliver them and that type of thing. We did all sorts of events in that. I guess that's where we met you.
Yeah. I think he found Zoe's card at the comic store, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I think that's. I can't remember. I get Zoe will correct me if I got the history wrong, but I think it was something like that.
But yeah, the comic store. We kind of cross over there a lot. The comic store and Lancaster, yeah, for sure. But then Caden and I then started a podcast called Rebel Chatter. And our thing there was him and I were on it, and we're 2 generations of Star Wars fans. And our whole thing was like, how were you introduced to Star Wars? Who introduced it to you? What it means to you, type of thing. And we did. I forget how many episodes we did that. I think that's off. I don't think it's online anymore at all, which is kind of. I guess I should put it up again, but.
Well, I put it on Spotify.
Yeah.
That would be my recommendation, but. Yeah, no, that's it's just funny because like Ken and I talk about how we met, and it's like Star Wars was that common theme, and then it seems like we met at the right time, because then Zoe kind of fell into working for you. She went to be a production assistant on your movie, which was awesome for her.
I promoted her real quick. She started, and that's again another lesson. Like, she started out as a production assistant. I just saw her passion and her capability, and you could tell that she just loved what we were doing. Like, she just, we were doing some action sequences at one point, and we were using a paintball gun to shoot dust hits. Had Fuller's Earth inside.
Yeah.
She loved doing that. That was her. She's like, nope, I'm doing this.
Well, I remember sitting there watching her work because as a parent, you want to support your kids,
Yeah.
and Zoe wanted to be a filmmaker, but we had no reference point because they didn't have a film department in Solanco School District,
Yes.
and so I was like, what if she's not good at this, or what if she doesn't like it? So,
Yeah.
and then I remember taking her and just watching her, and I was mesmerized, that she just loved it and was so good at it. And you give her the opportunity, which I really appreciate. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I just loved working with you both. I mean, so I saw her passion right away. I was like, you know what? After a couple of days, I was like, you're your first assistant director. So literally my right hand. I mean, she was that capable, and I could count on her. It was
Yeah.
great. And then you and her, well, your family in general, but coming from that love of Star Wars, where you guys have the armor parties and prop making, like, to me, I love that part of it too. Like, so it was just a natural fit too for have both of you on set, and you even have a cameo in the film. We got you in the film.
Yeah, that's my worst story is I remember the makeup person had to make up someone to look old, and then they came to me, and I was supposed to be like an 80-year-old guy, and she literally just looked at me and said, "Oh, you're okay." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, I got to
Well,
eat better."
You made the cut. You made the cut in that one. But yeah, we um there's this, you have a look, I don't even think it was on camera. You had this look of like you're looking down and you're kind of like looking like sad. And I'm talking one of the main characters is doing the dialogue about how, it was the 60s generation who, are coming back together and kind of having a commune again because they're all retirement age and they're banding together. That was part of the story. And they're talking about, about they don't want to be, put in a home by their children or, all this stuff. And we cut, and I just cut to you because you had this moment of just like this, like staring off into space, this really sad look. And it wasn't even, I don't even think it's something we shot. I think it was in between shots.
Probably.
That's the shot I got to use because it just like you just like it's almost like that meme with Ben Affleck, that sad Ben. You just had this like super. So we used that in the film.
Oh, if that comes public, I hope my students aren't making memes of me then.
Oh, they might. I could post it if
yeah, no, that would be fun. No, that's funny. Yeah, and then I was thinking of Star Wars and westerns because I wish you would have got to meet my father-in-law more. He was a I think it was Zane Grey. Was that a writer?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
he was that. Her Missy's dad was a big western. He liked reading those books, and he liked going out to the parks out in the West. He took like a couple road trips out there.
Yeah,
and I think the western storytelling and especially what you said earlier about you just had this epiphany what you wanted to do. It almost sounds like what happened to George Lucas. Like if you read George Lucas's bio.
Oh yeah, I did.
He was in that car accident.
Yeah,
and then he had this epiphany. And I wonder, you wonder what your mind is, what your mind has to like. Do we come from a society where we're taught to hold those feelings in, and your mind is just trying to get that out?
Yeah, maybe it's those flight or flight moments, because the adrenaline. I was just surging with adrenaline when I jumped out of the airplane, like. And I wasn't thinking about it. It just all of a sudden it really hit me like that, and it's been my journey since.
Yeah.
Learning how to be a screenwriter and filmmaking, and just and one of the things I knew I wanted to be a writer director. So one of the things was I thought early on, like, I don't want to be the type of director or leader, because I learned this as a veteran, was that just say, hey, do this, and don't really know what you're talking about. So I started learning by I went to acting classes, just worked with actors, and then I did stuff like I would be a gaffer and learn how to do the lighting. I'd be a production assistant, and that way the language. I mean, I basically have done every job on a film set.
Have you done the pink shorts with the mic?
I haven't. Yes, well, not the pink shorts, but I have. Yes, I definitely have done boom pole, and two of my mentors. One was more of my mentor in the kind of production side of things, videography, lighting, and that type of thing. His name's George Winchell. And then there was another gentleman named Keith Strandberg, and he did the first. He was a writer and a producer, martial arts films. His first one was No Retreat, No Surrender, with Van Damme's like first starring role. And I went to classes that he was teaching about screenwriting. I think it's like my first screenwriting courses, but I did stuff with him as well, like when he was producing things. And I'm kind of getting off topic here. I forget what I was saying. Oh, they were my two mentors, and yeah, I don't know.
Was he the one that doing the martial arts for Stray Ember? Or is that a different?
That's Fred Waters, Master Fred Waters Jr. He was in my film The Sanctuary.
Okay.
I know where I was going with this. So Keith, thank you. So because that's where I met that gentleman. Keith and a bunch of partners had a stunt school that was once a year in Storm King, New York, and it was they taught you screen fighting, they taught you high jumps into airbags. They did a stunt show at the end where they had like people on fire and cars rolling, and how to use blanks and that type of thing. And it was incredible. So I did stunts on one of his films later on because he knew I was in the school with him. I started as a production assistant like Zoe,
right,
on one of his films, and then I ended up being the stunt person for the lead actor. Then doing. So I got to do that a little bit. And then up there, I met this gentleman named Master Fred Waters, and he Jr. And he's like a grandmaster now of several styles. He has his own style, which is based on just basically using anything, kind of like Krav Maga type of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But he has his own style. Anyway, he was in my first film, No Sanctuary. I was trying to think who could be Bartimaeus, the one character, and it just hit me. I'll ask Fred, and he's been a great friend since. He did the fight sequences on No Sanctuary. He was a major character, and then he came in and he did kind of a cameo in a Stray Amber. But then he designed the fight scenes for a Stray Amber, and we've talked for years about trying to do a straight action martial arts film.
Right.
We'd love to do one together.
Yeah, I mean, because between your film and then when we filmed up at the Cliffs of Kenoi, the Han Solo Chronicles,
yeah,
it is amazing. I wish everyone would get to spend a few minutes watching people make films, and they might be slightly less critical every time something that comes out they don't like quite every part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, as fans, there's the whole thing with fandom. There is that toxic fandom too, where nothing can be, even Star Wars has its hate, different films and stuff has its haters. They love one thing and they hate something else, and and then, but they don't realize how much work it is.
Right. And so many people. Like
it's a lot. Yes.
And I felt like I knew how movies were made, but until you actually see that actor has to say the same thing 5 times at 5 different angles, and the amount of work to go, I just thought I enjoyed it. Like you could have probably charged me money those days. I was just watching you guys film. It was so much fun.
Because people don't realize that, there's a lot of work. It's a lot of waiting sometimes, and indie film crew, I try to keep ours going and active. And again, trying to lead from the front. Like I remember in No Sanctuary one time, it started raining and we couldn't shoot. Yeah. So I just dove in the lake that was in front, I stood out in the rain, and just suffering, I don't know, they all showed up for me,
right?
So,
well, and I think Star Wars, as much like I look at westerns, and so there's the old westerns, and then I always called them the long coat westerns, the ones that came out in the late 80s. Into the 90s, that genre, and I feel like Star Wars is almost like an overlapping genre of westerns, especially now, especially with the Mandalorian, with Book of Boba Fett, and some of the stuff like that. It gives it even more of a western feel. Like they have spurs on Boba Fett.
Yeah, I mean, he's wearing a serape. I mean, he's basically the man with no name, right? You know,
Right.
he's basically Clint Eastwood in that original. I want to say Yojimbo. That's a Kurosawa one.
Yeah,
What is it?
Good, the bad, and the ugly.
Dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fistful of dollars or
$4. There you go. I was thinking a few dollars more. That's a sequel, and then it's
Yeah.
the ugly. But yeah, so I mean, he's basically that character, and which is great. I mean, again, when I watched, what was it? I guess the Book of Boba Fett. They even Cad Bane. He's basically Lee Van Cleef.
Yes.
Right. You know, he looks. You know, he's definitely inspired by him. You know, and they had the whole standoff in that film with the sheriff and.
Well, and they had the costume out at LA when we went Anaheim, when we went to Celebration Anaheim.
Yeah, nice.
They had the I got some close up pictures of the costumes, and the pistol is it's
Nice.
trying not to be Western as much as it's trying to be Western.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I put in our notes. I was looking at my movies and stuff like that, and I remember not one of my favorite movies, but one I like to watch a lot was Joe Kidd.
Yeah, you know, I haven't seen that in a long time. You with Eastwood, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I liked it because he had a broom handle Mauser.
Oh, Han Solo.
Yeah, he is, and that, like, when I was a kid, that was just Han Solo's gun. I was like, what are they using Han Solo's gun in this Western for?
Exactly. Yeah, because when Caden and I did Rebel Chatter, we interviewed I just lost his name that quick. He did some of the props. He did the lightsaber out of some piece of film equipment.
Oh yeah, the camera Graflex.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was talking about them basically taking real weapons and putting. I mean, Han Solo is the ultimate gunslinger, right?
Right. Oh yeah.
On his hip,
Yeah.
So.
Well, and he's like the fictional, like what we were taught was Western, even though technically it was probably more of samurai stories.
Right.
But he was the Western that we think of as Westerns, like the gun strapped to your hip and and ready to go. Yeah, if you've ever run with one of those guns strapped on your hip, that's not
right. Well, and the other thing is, I mean, the cantina sequence, right? It's the Old West Saloon.
Yep.
Coming in, there's all sorts of characters in the Old West Saloon, and there's a long tradition though too. Is like basically our westerns were inspired by the Japanese samurai films. I mean,
right.
You have, because the big one was Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, is Magnificent Seven by John Sturges.
Yep.
And I love both those films. I mean, both of them for different reasons, but there's that tradition. I guess Lucas was inspired by definitely Kurosawa. I know because Hidden Fortress was where he got 3PO and R2D2 and Leia and the Empire, I think, in general. But so every generation's inspired by past pieces of art, and they want to put their spin on it.
Well, and then coming back to it is, if you do it right, probably goes back more to the Joseph Campbell part. But if you hit all those notes, then I can still watch 1977 Star Wars, and and I know I'm a little biased, but I would say you look at other 1977 movies, most of them don't hold up like a Star Wars movie. And you could say the same about good Westerns. Yeah. You can watch the good Westerns, and maybe some of the technicals or the sounds are a little off, but the story will still hold you.
Yes.
If you stick to those points.
Right, because they're timeless, they're archetypes, that's you got the gunslinger, you got the wise old man, Obi-Wan, and now he literally based a lot of those characters on just the mythical archetypes. And I actually do that myself when I'm writing. And it's funny how much I found out later Star Wars was influenced by that I just did naturally, or through other, like I discovered similar things that Lucas had discovered. But then later on, like when I was reading his autobiography, I was like, oh, well, no wonder I love both these things. They're connected,
Now, have you read his unofficial biography?
Oh, no, I didn't realize.
So there's an unofficial one or whatever. I will have to send you the link. I teach at Perryville Middle School, and a teacher came to me near the end of the day and said, "Hey, there's a Star Wars guy speaking at the library, which is connected to the same parking lot as us."
Oh wow.
So I went and and the guy was right. It was the unofficial um, George Lucas biography or something like that. So
Right.
he was there and he was talking. I raised my hand and I said, "Well, why is it unofficial?" Because to me, when I hear unofficial, I thought it's like a hack piece,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, "No." He said, "Unofficial means I don't interview the person because when you interview people, their memory changes to what their present mindset is."
Right.
So he said, "All my research is done. Like if I want to know what George Lucas was thinking in 1977,
Right.
I look at interviews of George Lucas." And I read the book, and it was a really nice book on George Lucas.
Well, that makes sense, especially for George Lucas, because he might have, he's a little famous for fixing things later,
Yeah.
revisionist. But yeah, so that makes sense that you go to people that go do the research, I guess, instead
Well,
of
and I think we all as we get older probably we try to soften the edges of
yes,
of those things that we might have said or did,
yeah,
not good or bad, just to and but it is a good book. And when you say all that, it's um like I had a mythology course at Millersville the first time,
yeah,
and I didn't realize until she started. It was a Yugoslavian woman, and she would just get up and speak for 90 minutes. She would say Zeus, and then she would just talk about Zeus for 90 minutes, and we're just like
yeah,
hurriedly ready. And I didn't realize even till then. I was like, wait, this is like, because I knew mythology, but when I was younger, I didn't really look into it much more than like Jason and the Argonauts kind of stuff,
right,
you
right.
know. And
You know what that reminds me, when you were saying about how we soften the edges and we um but yeah, because we tell our own, we basically tell our own story. Like we become the legend, right? So like we were talking about westerns. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. There's that famous line like when see, I just lost it, but it's about fact and legend. You print the legend.
right,
I'm
right.
paraphrasing. I forget now. As soon as I started saying, and I had in my head when we were talking, and just it went. But of course, but you start telling your own legend. Like your own story, and as it gets embellished probably over the years and stuff like that, and you think about yeah,
Yeah. And with me with Star Wars, and I'm not as a gun guy. Like I grew up with guns and I hunted, but I'm not, like I know friends that like collect guns. I always like Western.
mhm,
I the 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 pistols besides Star Wars weapons, I always like Josie Wales pistols, the
yes,
Navy Colts and
yeah, the
and
1860 Navy Colts, yeah,
and then I always like the Lone Rangers silver, like, because remember the old movies, all the good guys just had silver Colt peacemakers.
right. And white horses or white hats. I mean, they were really symbolic back
Yeah.
then.
But the other thing that whether it was and it's changing now, and I think the Book of Boba Fett did it for me, was it pointed out when I was a kid, good or bad, um, I was afraid of the Native Americans because a
Mhm.
lot of those old westerns, it made them seem like
Oh yeah,
you were going to be. And then when I watched the Book of Boba Fett, I realized he was trying to teach kids, not to broad brush
yeah,
people, because of what he did with the Tuscans. There were still
yes,
really bad Tuscans,
yeah.
and he built a culture around them. And I think they did that with westerns too. When you had Dances with Wolves
I was gonna
and
say that's exactly what that reminded me of, and that's some of the better things in Book of Boba Fett was like the indigenous culture, right? Like they're made to be the other, they're made to be like the boogeyman, and that type of thing. And here it's a whole culture of people, and like I love that sequence. In fact, my only constructive criticism of Book of Boba Fett was I was more into that part of it, the more Western part of it, than the gangster part of it.
yes, I mean, I like Book of Boba Fett, but I think I could have just gone with even more just old
Yes,
westerny thing.
yeah,
Yes,
because there was lots of great elements of that, but then it kept coming back to the more the gangster type of thing, and I don't know if I don't know if it knew what it wanted to be. Like I think
right.
if it would have just stuck with the one genre instead of being like a gangster film, and because I never saw you know the best thing about Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, but is to actually see them flying in with those jetpacks. Because like
Oh,
we
yeah.
played with our Boba Fett's, we just wanted to see that for real. Other than we saw him get flung into the Sarlacc pit, and that was it. But we wanted to see him actually fighting. So like when that happened in Mando the first time, I think I just screamed like in pure joy. Like,
oh, that first season at the end was season 1
yeah,
when all those Mandos just came
yeah,
down into this,
yeah.
yeah.
It's just amazing. And so I always saw Boba Fett. So real quick, we're talking Star Wars. My three favorite characters in order. This is probably R2-D2 is my favorite.
Okay.
And Luke Skywalker's my second, and Boba Fett's my third. So like
Nice.
I can go. The rest I start mixing up, but those for sure I can say without any hesitation that they're my favorite characters. I hope in Grogu and Mando that trailer, it looks like that's R2 in the beginning. I hope that's R2.
That would be cool. So I was excited about the book of Boba Fett. I mean, Grogu and Mando.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I'll be happy. But when I saw the new trailer, I was like, oh yeah, because it had it to me had an Old West / Indiana Jones feel.
Yes. Yeah. And just like you said, when I first saw the teaser,
yeah,
I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'll see it, but it didn't get me super excited. It did,
right.
And then the trailer came out. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Like, yeah, this is gonna be good.
And they had Stinky or whatever his name is, the Hut.
Yeah.
Because and I know this makes me a weird Star Wars fan. The first Star Wars movie I saw in the theaters, and people have probably heard me say this before, more than once, was the Clone Wars cartoon.
Okay.
Because growing up, if I would have asked for a second ticket to Star Wars, I don't think my grandfather would have. That wouldn't have went over very well.
Right.
You just went and saw it once, and then
that was it. Yeah.
But Zoe loved the Clone Wars, so we were like at Penn Cinema. Like I think we went like for like 3 weekends in a row or something like that, twice a weekend. Like she was loving it.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. This is probably unpopular opinion or what do you call it? Yeah. But I have not been able to really commit to the cartoons.
Yeah.
I saw the first season of Rebels and I really enjoyed that. The new Maul Shadow Lord. That was really interesting. And my son Caden loves, just like Zoe, he loves the Clone Wars. And he told me like I think probably today or it was recently. He's like, you got to go and watch those. He's like, you have to watch them.
I think you would like them because as a filmmaker, you would like them.
That's what he said. He said almost the same thing.
Yeah, because Dave Filoni played with all different genres.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple Godzilla movies in there.
My son Ben loves Godzilla. That's yeah.
There's a couple Western episodes in there. There's heists. Like he played with every genre. Like I would say I watched it because Zoe loved it. And so when she was real little, I would pre-watch them because as a parent, I didn't know what was going to happen. And then I just was eventually I was like, yeah, you're just going to watch it. But and no matter how much you love Revenge of the Sith, it makes Revenge of the Sith even a better movie. Like if you think Revenge of the Sith is a 10, and if you watch the Clone Wars, it makes it a 20.
Yeah, Caden just lit. That's so funny. That it's almost synchronicity because he pretty much said the same thing. Like on my way home, he called me and somehow we got on talking about this very thing. And he's like, "Listen, I don't know why you don't like those because I mean, I said I don't really, I haven't seen those really." And he's like, because I'm always joking about Filoni. I'm like, "Oh, Filoni," and because I know he loves him so much, and I mess with him, but he's like the same thing. He's like, if a filmmaker, you would love those things. Like, and he said the same thing that you would love the prequels trilogy a lot better if you saw those as well. So maybe I'll commit to it. I should have committed to it while I was recovering from my knee surgery.
Wow, that's true. Yeah.
Got a lot of extra time. I should have done that.
And the animation, they changed the animation a little bit into season 2 because the marionette type animation takes a while to get used to.
Yes.
In season 1.
Yeah.
But they adjusted a lot in season 2 because I think George if you read, it was George wasn't supposed to be that involved, I think. And then when he saw what Filoni was doing, and again, I don't know how much of this story is changed due to, but
Yeah.
then George really got involved and started really putting money into it.
Okay.
Because technically, until George sold it, all Star Wars was almost like independent films because
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just George's thing.
Just his thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you would enjoy them. And then so back on like the Mando and
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, I keep sidetracking you.
no, but back on Mando and even Boba Fett, I was going to start to say I wasn't really a big gun guy and stuff like that, but
Oh, yeah.
I noticed Han Solo's is a British Mauser. Okay,
Yeah.
I think they came out in the late 1800s, if I remember correctly, or not a British Mauser, German Mauser, the pistol, right? Broom handle or something.
Broom handle, yeah. Broom, yeah.
And then Boba Fett's Mando's pistol is a late 1800s semi-automatic pistol. I forget what the pistol is.
Oh.
So I looked up the pistol. I was just looking through old pistols, and literally his pistol is almost just a pistol with a thing on the end. Like there's almost no other greeblies added to it. It's a real,
I
really.
gotta look that up.
And then so I was working on a custom Mando, and I went to a website and was just looking up I Googled semi-automatic pistols from late 19th century.
Yeah.
And I was just looking for one that I could make into a Mando pistol. So I found a file for one, and that's my, that's my foray into like gun builds. But I forget what the pistol is. Huh?
You 3D printed it?
I have the file, so I have to shave off some parts.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to, and now I'm looking for some kind of. I want to, because it seems like all of them have some kind of thing on the front.
Okay.
And then I would hold it up here, but then I'll get flagged for having weapons.
Yeah, for weapons in YouTube. Yeah, exactly.
So, but I'm gonna look for some kind of suppressor or something to stick on the front.
Nice.
And that's my I've been building a few more things, I think, since you last saw me. I have.
Yeah, I can't wait to come over and see what.
Yeah, you have to take a ride.
Yeah, because we're not that far away.
No, I mean, we're like I said, Sappy is still at Millersville.
Yeah.
And I'm, I took over the CTE program at my school. So now I teach what was formerly tech ed.
Oh, okay.
So now I teach 3D printing and nice. Robotics and stuff like that.
That's cool.
It's quite a change. But yeah, I just think of the Westerns. I think of the gangster stuff I like, but I think, like you said, I think I would go with Western stuff. Like I think Book of Boba Fett. We had a train robbery, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing. I like that a lot too.
We got to see a bantha up close, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And they had that mechanical bantha at Anaheim.
Did they really?
So when we went to Celebration Anaheim, I think they just wrapped up Book of Boba Fett season 1, maybe.
Okay.
And they had most of the props and we all got to go down and see them. They had the N1 Starfighter, the chrome one. They had that one there. That was the centerpiece. Oh. They had the Rancor's head.
That's awesome.
That Danny Trejo, they had so that was neat. So you're like one step away from working for Star Wars now. That you're in your.
Yeah, I mean, because Robert Rodriguez, he like you said, he directed his episodes, and Trejo's been in a lot of his films.
Yeah. So, I went to his restaurant. I just went to his restaurant.
Yeah.
In LA.
LA.
Zoe gives us the tourist treatment when we go to LA.
Nice.
We went when we drove out there. We went. I forget the name of the town. It's right outside of Death Valley, and the town is basically where they used to in the 40s and 50s would go out into the desert to make a lot of the westerns.
Was it Lone Pine?
I don't remember. I just remember there was sand everywhere. Like the swimming pool was filled with sand.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we did go to the western town. I forget. It's south of LA, I believe. It's it's just like a Wild West town. I guess it's I think Ernest Borgnine and a couple other guys bought and made like a.
Oh, that's awesome.
In the 50s or something. We did go out. We did get to see a little bit of western stuff.
That's cool. Santa Clarita above LA. They shoot a lot of westerns there. They shoot a lot of like if you're in Afghanistan or somewhere in the Middle East or something,
Oh, okay.
because it's that type of area. Peter Sharenko, who played in Tombstone, the movie Tombstone, he has a Western company that's called Caravan West, and I went up and visited his property and went through like a 4-hour tour with him. It was awesome. He basically provides everything for a Western. He has people who can come full costume and who are horse people. He has all the weapons, he has all the gear, he has all the props. He has a small little town on his property, but then there's this huge property that you've seen in TV shows and movies and stuff where they do a lot of Westerns, and he took me on a tour of that. It was really cool. And his whole thing is to be authentic. Like he hates to see, a gun that wouldn't been around, or one of his big things is saddles, because a lot of I wouldn't know the difference, but I bought his book, and it tells you like this, this saddle wasn't made until the 1950s, that type of thing. But so his whole thing is be about being authentic. But anyway, I was just thinking of places I've been that would be great. I mean, I wish there was a old West town around here we could shoot something.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm telling you, the Cliffs of Kenoi you could do a good Western where we shot the Star Wars, just because of if you get the right camera angle, it can look like you're right out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, what is that? Is that just
it's a lime. I think there was a
color. I mean, yeah.
I think someone just dumped limestone there for years, some company.
Yeah.
And then I think it was just instead of cleaning it up, they donated it as a park. And there's I forget the man's name, but you can get, if you want to film there, like he was so good to the Han Solo Chronicles. He brought a porta potty in for us.
Wow.
And they opened up the gates, so it's usually like a 2-mile walk in. The first time we went for photos, we had to take all of our gear and an R2D2 2 miles in to take pictures. Well, then when Matt got a hold of them, they opened the gates, and we literally could drive our stuff right there, and they let us film all day. They're really nice people. It's the White Cliffs of Kenoi.
I gotta keep that in mind, because I'm writing a micro budget Western that I want to do next.
Oh, okay.
And like we said earlier, like the production always takes so long. So I'm thinking about doing the thing where I'll actually say, I'm gonna take a month to write this. I'm gonna have a month of weekends to shoot it, and a month to edit it, and see if I can pull it off. But and write it. It's a weird Western. It has like it has the kind of a mythology around it too, but like kind of a ghostly type of.
Oh, like what was the Clint Eastwood one where they painted the town red?
Yes, Pale Rider is my favorite one. It's my favorite Eastwood.
Yeah. No, Pale Rider, but what was the one before Pale Rider?
High Plains Drifter.
High Plains Drifter.
Where he paints the town red and calls it hell. Yeah. That's a good one too. I actually always liked the Eastwood supernatural westerns more than any of the others. Those are Pale Rider specifically. I really love. So it's kind of inspired by that. By that, having a western story that has kind of a supernatural element about it, and that's what I'd like to do next. So maybe we can work together, make some props, and get involved again.
We got a bunch of Star Wars guys that are like itching to put their costumes on for another movie. So
there you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's I think so. You're talking about the saddles and stuff, which is kind of neat, because I think for some of us, that's what made us start noticing what George put in the movies.
Yes.
Because when I was a kid, my grandfather would be like, "Well, that gun doesn't sound like that," and my grandfather wasn't a gun guy,
right?
But like, you remember the old ones? They used to just dub in the same.
Yes.
Like, they had like 5 different sounds,
and it's always ricocheting too. You always hear that ricochet sound.
Yeah. So or he'd point out, he was a Civil War, not a buff, but he like knew stuff about the Civil War, and he'd be like, "Well, that gun is from this, and that gun is," you know what I mean? Like,
so he loved history.
Yeah. And same with like World War II movies. Like they would, you look at the different things, and I think that's what made us all that like Star Wars. You start looking at, and you make backstories for stuff like Boba Fett. You talk about Boba Fett being your 3rd favorite guy.
Yeah.
I was one of the lucky ones that had the mail order Boba Fett. I think, it was glued in, but I got my mail order Boba Fett. I saved all my little circles.
Yeah.
And I had him before the movie came out. And so
Yeah.
you didn't know anything about him. So he
Yeah.
was, jetpacking around, and he came with the wrong blaster. He came with a stormtrooper blaster. He came with an E11.
Yeah.
That's what he came with.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
I had one of the early ones. I didn't have the. I did get. I remember getting something in the mail with what was that called? The Star Wars. You took them off the.
yeah, they're little proofs of purchase, little circles.
Yeah, yeah.
So all my backs had the holes, and I just had them in a little box, and I mailed them in. I think then years later, I mailed in a bunch of stuff and got the monoculars from where you could put the slides in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Han Solos. I got Han Solos from Kellogg's cereal.
The Stormtrooper Han Solo.
Yeah, Stormtrooper Han Solo.
Yeah, I have that one. Yeah.
I mailed like the limit was 3, so 3 came to my house, 3 came to my grandmother's house, 3 came to my in-laws' house because I was married at the time. My mother-in-law just looked at me like, "You got these little packages here."
That's awesome. Well, because this generation doesn't even know. I remember subscribing to a Star Wars newsletter, a fan
Insider.
Yeah, Insider, and because you didn't have the internet, you didn't have all this stuff so we were just starved for Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, your picture I think is in Star Wars Insider. When they came and did the interview with Zoe.
Oh yeah,
I think they used a picture of you and her.
Oh yes, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, I just was interviewed by Millersville's newspaper, Snapper.
Okay, yeah.
And they were like, we need a photo, another photo of you like on set. And Marty, your friend Marty, he shot a lot of the on set photos for us. And there's one I used all the time, and I was like, I've been using that. I need to find another one. I forgot about that one, so that's probably the one I'll dig out for the.
Yeah. Well, Star Wars Insider's last issue is I think next month or this month.
Oh, yeah.
They just ended it the run of Star Wars Insider.
That's sad. It's happened in a lot of magazines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping someone else will pick it up. I mean, I subscribed to it for a long time, and then I got the notice it's going out. So I think I had to send them like an extra $7 to get because my subscription ran out, and there was like one more to go. I was like,
yeah, you got to get it.
Like, I'll get that, but yeah, I mean that is well, and Star Wars has stood that test of time. I mean, compared to other genres, and again, it comes down to the films and the westerns and the stories being told.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for some more Lone Ranger.
Do you know the Lone Ranger is based on African American?
Bass Reeves.
Bass Reeves, yeah, and it's just like there's been some really cool stuff about Bass Reeves. Well, they did the Taylor Sheridan did a show.
Yeah,
that was a really good show, I thought.
And that's the guy who voices Agent Callus in Star Wars Rebels.
There we go. See, there's another
the main star.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's another connection. Yeah, and I always thought that, when I found that out, I was like, it cracked me up.
Yeah.
And then they had the '80s Lone Ranger. Do you remember that one?
I do remember the '80s one, and it didn't sit well with me because I was watching the reruns of the old Lone Ranger every day.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I like this. I like the Disney one. I know a lot of people didn't like the Disney one.
Yeah.
I thought the Disney one was fun, for a good modern take.
Yeah.
Lone Ranger is what got me hooked on action figures because remember was it Ideal or Mattel that made the Lone Rangers? It was the big like not quite GI Joe size.
Oh, not the 12-inch. Okay.
It was
yeah.
And it was Lone Ranger, Tonto, and Bush Cavendish.
Really?
And they came with fully posed horses and like the pistols and the masks and all that.
That's cool. Do you have them still?
I don't, man. No, we played with our figures way too hard.
I know. That's the thing with me too. Like, same thing. I think I can remember taking my Chewbacca, like an original one from the first film. And in middle school or something, I had to do a diorama for a book report, and I read something about Bigfoot. So I took a brown marker and covered up his sling, and added felt to it and like just completely. Yeah, I think I cleaned it all off, but still, it just we played with them hard for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, my figures, most of them stayed, and then when the girls were little, they wanted the Clone Wars figures.
Yeah.
So I put them on eBay and made a lot of money and bought them all Clone Wars figures.
There you go.
So, it
Yeah.
worked out pretty good. But yeah, I mean the Star Wars in general, I mean, I'm happy with the way Star Wars is going. I'm looking forward to, well, Darth Maul comes out in 2 weeks? I
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. April 3rd, maybe, or
Yeah.
something.
And then
Oh, no,
then the Grogu one too will be
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to hopefully we have some troops with that, but now that we have the Kendick theaters back open, so
Oh yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you-
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah. I've been. Yeah. Exactly. That's where I've gone to a couple of films there for sure.
yeah, so that I can go see stuff. I mean, I'm probably still going to go to Penn for IMAX for Mando and Grogu, I think. I think I want
Yeah.
to try to, because I think they might have filmed them in IMAX.
April 6th from all. Somebody said online there.
Yeah, that's Zoe. That's Zoe.
Oh, that's Zoe. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's all together.
Yeah.
Hi Zoe.
I did get to watch a movie at the Chinese theater in LA. We went and saw Superman.
Oh, nice.
So
Dude.
that was
That's cool. That's cool. I love those old photos in '77 when they were just around the corner of the Man Chinese Theater.
Oh, I know. I
Yeah,
know.
that's really cool.
Well, and that's the other thing I think people don't you now, did you grow up around this area, or were you?
Yeah. Well, from Lancaster County. Yeah.
Because I remember going to the movie theater next to Dutch Wonderland,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I went to the drive-in where Tanger Outlet is.
Yes. I remember going there as well.
And I think I saw one of the Star Wars movies at the Tanger Outlet one. I just don't remember which one, but I remember seeing one of those.
That's
And
pretty
then-
cool seeing the drive-in.
Yeah, and then we did. Then we used to go. There was a movie theater at Park City.
Yeah, I remember that too.
So
Actually, I have a story. I remember my dad one time, and this is right after the first film, between the first film and Empire, and he's like, "Hey, I got a surprise for you." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "No, I'm not telling you. You just got to go." And we show up at Park City, and there's hundreds of people there. I'm like, "What is going on?" And this limousine comes up. All of a sudden, it opens up, and Darth Vader steps out.
oh, nice.
And I don't know if it was the actual David Prowse or not. I think it was. I kind of remember that it was. Now maybe that's we just talked about memory, but I think it was David Prowse. And I remember being on my dad's shoulders. He had me on his shoulders because the crowd in the center there of Park City, where in the middle is where he eventually went, and like we're just
that's
I mean, it was crazy. It was cool though. Yeah, for sure. That was a cool experience.
Yeah, well, I think Boba Fett was released in a parade, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yes.
In California, that was the first time you saw Boba Fett in person.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the stills of the all-white Boba Fett.
Yeah, and then there was in the cartoon in the holiday special too, right?
Now I know a friend of mine, Howard, has a all-white Boba Fett costume.
Oh, that's cool.
And he researched and has like all the original parts, and the poncho, the thing that Boba Fett wears.
Yeah.
In the all-white Boba Fett, when they did it for the screen test or whatever, they used a Star Wars beach towel or a Star Wars hand or whatever
really?
towel.
That's
so he got an original towel from then, and that's what he wears on that costume.
That's funny.
So
yeah.
his Boba Fett, I mean, I would say if someone wants to see a good white Boba Fett, Howard's is it has to be one of the top 5 in the world when it comes to
that's
like
awesome.
accuracy.
I love the accuracy about it. That's really cool.
So, yeah. But I don't know. So,
yeah, what else did we?
I'm looking. I think we covered most. I mean, I said Buffalo Bill. I put Buffalo Bill on there because my grandmother was from Missouri.
Okay.
And she spent most of my life telling me stories of like all the bank robbers, like like Bonnie and Clyde type thing. Like all those
Yeah.
Missourians were like fascinated by those people.
Right.
But the only Western person she talked about was Buffalo Bill, because I think like her mother or someone met Buffalo Bill.
Oh wow, that's a
And
good story.
and again, it's one of those ones where our history is warped by what we're talking about with their biography. Buffalo Bill put on that Western show, which I think he thought was helping, promote.
Yeah.
But I'm sure in today's standards of what we know with history, it was probably not too good.
Yeah,
But
I think a lot of the early silent films were kind of probably based on what he was doing,
yeah,
and now the westerns since films have been inspired by those silent films and all that, and they didn't really always get the history right.
right,
I'm in the Western Writers of America, and it's a group of writers that has been around since 1953, and it has, pretty much all the big classic names, and even the modern, master storytellers, in in Western genre. There's the thing we give out called the Spur Award, and it's kind of like the Oscars for Western storytelling, and you'll hear it's great. They hold a convention every year in a Western city. They move it every year. So I've been able to go and see like some of these really great Western towns. Now I wish it was, I wish we'd kind of go to more of the out of the way places,
right.
because like this year we're going to St. Louis. It's cool, but it's St. Louis, the city now. Like like the things that were there historically, not so much, right?
Right.
But it's cool sitting in the bar after the convention, and hearing some people. There's some people that just have extensive knowledge of the history of the Old West.
Right.
Where I come from more of the Western, like the more entertainment side of things, and I love the history of it too because I'm a big history buff. But like I'm fascinated by the details as well.
Well, and I also think most people, when they're trying, I don't want to say correct the history, but I don't think it takes away from the older movies. Because it also gives you a nice snapshot of what people thought.
Yeah.
That, like it used to be the Westerns. You had one guy that was 100% good, and
Yes.
the bad guy is 100% bad. And just like you had Native Americans portrayed one way or whatever. And when it just got better, but it doesn't take away from what they were trying to do at the time.
Yeah, I read a really cool. I wish I could remember who the author was, but I read a really good essay at one point about the Western films. It's basically a reflection of society at the time. So like they were saying the ones in the 50s, there was a very moral compass there. There was a very black and white, and then it went through the whole story. They actually stopped at Young Guns, and they were talking about Young Guns was late 80s, where there was a lot of gang culture, and then and youth culture. The 80s were youth culture, right? Like all the films were John Hughes and whatnot. So it's the Westerns are kind of a reflection of the time period. And I think we're kind of in a resurgence of Western films. There's been a lot of great ones in the last decade, at least. There's some, and there's a lot of. I also have. There's a lot of indie westerns as well, which I love that they're doing that. But like I have a list of pet peeves,
Okay.
of seeing some of these old West. I mean, some of these indie westerns, and some of it's like. There's always you always had that cliche scene where the cowboy goes in with his spurs on, and according to historians, they would never warn them in the building. It's one of the things, right? And they always ask for a whiskey. It's one of those things. Like there's always that scene in a Western. You're like, they did other things than that. I always think, and a lot of the new ones are using digital flashes and not done very well, the VFX, and that bores me. You can tell the actors aren't even reacting. They're either overacting, like throwing their arm up really high, or not reacting at all, not blinking at all, and it just makes it a really kind of, they're playing cowboy is what it comes down to.
It's like it's like the video game cutscenes for like Red Dead Redemption. Or,
yeah. Yeah, what it comes down to, they just want to play cowboy for the weekend, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not putting it down, but to be good cinema, like I just think you want to be a little more creative and just try to be a little more exciting. I understand. We have like stuff like Rust. Was a Western. That's where that unfortunate the DP lost her life because of blanks. I mean, well, because a live round was on set, but there's got to be a different way where you can have weapons that you can react to and be safe, but
Right.
still get the effect.
Right.
So anyway,
Well, it comes into what you said earlier about being hands-on, knowing all the jobs.
mhm.
Like I think that's with any job, but I would imagine with filmmaking, if you're a leader that knows what's going on and you're aware, it can make a good set for everybody.
Yeah.
Like like I said, I'm not a big gun guy, but I've shot many guns growing up, and I often wonder when I see these movies, I'm like, I wonder if any of the people that wrote or did they go to a gun range, or did they at least even consult
Yeah.
and I think of Star Wars, when you watch behind the scenes, they were consulting over things that weren't even real. Like
Yeah.
they painstakingly, well, how's
Yeah.
this ship that doesn't exist and wouldn't really fly? How would it fly? So,
Right.
I think again, it's just good filmmaking, and like you said, good storytelling kind of sticks out. Now Zoe did mention, don't forget Kanan.
I know. I was gonna jump in.
So, yeah, that was a Jedi Cowboys. That's probably the first one. But
And I love that. I love that whole concept, Cowboy Samurai. What is that? Is that was from Visions? Where was that?
what? No, that's from Rebels. Kanan Jarrus, the guy.
Oh,
with
is that it? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't. I saw. Did they call him the cat? I don't remember.
No. I think he's just got that. I think he's just got that
Oh,
moniker.
Gotcha.
Because he has the Han Solo-esque pistol hanging.
Yes.
But he also has, now
He's
I'm
the
a
guy
little more.
he goes blind eventually. That dude,
He
right?
does, and he
Yeah.
gets blown up. He gets blown up. So,
Oh my gosh.
so he gets very sad about that. But
And Zoe's probably upset that I haven't watched all the.
she could probably give you a good list of Star Wars or Star Wars Clone Wars to jump
Clone
into.
Wars, yeah. I remember Caden he'd be like, Dad, you gotta watch this, and he'd be like, isn't this cool? He'd show me just like a sequence. So I've seen bits and pieces of them, but never. I think I might have tried the first couple episodes of the first season, but
yeah, I think you should give it another shot. They call him. Zoe said the marketing called him a Cowboy Jedi. Okay,
gotcha. Perfect.
I don't know. I'm getting more and more into just more Mandalorian stuff. I just wrote a grant and got a new TV studio for my school, for my students to do. No, it's nothing fancy, but it's like it's green screen and teleprompters and all that.
Yeah, that's great.
For sixth, seventh, and eighth graders. It's like great. But we're doing a May the 4th special. We're going to pre-record our news. So I am putting together 5 suits of Mandalorian armor for my students, because they're a bunch of 8th graders I've had for 3 years, and they're just really good students. So I'm putting together just a rough Mando helmet armor, and we're going to shoot, like, they have a news intro where they walk in and it plays music. So we're going to change the whole thing for that day.
Nice.
And it's just got me looking more and more at Mando armor. Now I can't give them any weapons at school or anything, but
right.
But so I've been looking at different Mando armor, and you remember, I don't know if you remember Sean, who was at my one armor party, that dresses like he was at Caden's thing. He dresses like Ben Kenobi.
Yes, I definitely.
He works for Galactic Armory now.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so he did all the costumes for the band Galactic Empire.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then
my filmmaker friend shot that.
Yeah. Well, I think it was at the end of COVID, they wanted their costumes repainted. So Marty, myself, and Dan, we repainted their costumes.
Oh, really?
Cleaned them up. And then we give them back to them. And they said, well, look, our manager says we can't use Star Wars costumes anymore. We need our own custom ones, just because they were starting to get bigger.
Yeah.
Will you make us custom ones? Well, COVID was just ending and I had to go back to work.
Right.
I sent them. I said to Sean, and Sean's like, I can't do. I said, look, just please talk to him. And then Sean wound up designing and building all their new costumes.
Oh, nice.
And
That's
so,
cool.
but now he works for Galactic Armory in New Jersey. I think he just moved to New Jersey.
Wow.
And it's a online shop where you can buy all the 3D files for all kinds of stuff. And he also works in their production shop building like ones for them.
I love prop making. In fact, that's what I love. Again, you guys have your armor parties. It's so exciting. You know, it's just really cool getting together and seeing. Well, actually, when I was a teenager, the first filmmaking thing I fell in love with was old practical effects.
Yeah.
One of my, like, when I was like 12 to 14, 15 years old, I thought, you know what I want to do is be, effects artist, like the practical effects.
Right.
And I used to Starlog magazine, and there was a bunch of really good behind the scenes, like how they did the practical effects. And so yeah, I always come to stories too through production design. When I'm designing a story as a screenplay, one of the first things I think of is what's a cool location. So in No Sanctuary, it's the ruins of a church is the main location, and we built that. And only just a couple of walls, just a little bit of the ruins of the church. And for Stray Ember, it was like, what is the concept of a woman who's agoraphobic and is afraid to go outside, but she's living in an RV. She can't sleep in one place for more than one night. So just like this idea of anytime, that's where I come into a story. I think a lot of times is not even through characters. A lot of times it's like, what's a cool production design? What are some fun things we could do? So like this weird Western's kind of the term that everybody uses now, but like the supernatural Western I'm working on. I have all these ideas, like, from the production design. That's where it started first,
Yeah. Well, the plus side with 3D printing now compared to even like 10 years ago, like when I built Zoe's first armor,
yeah,
some of the intricate pieces I was beholden to whoever made them,
right.
Then the rest, I could make some stuff. I'm cutting guns out of wooden blocks and stuff like that. But when 3D design modeling and 3D printing, like I used to have 5 printers. It was cheaper. I just bought a bigger, faster printer. I have one printer, and I can print a full helmet in like 2 days now, compared to like half a helmet was like a week before.
Yeah.
So
my son Finn wanted one. Once Christmas, we got it for him. We did a couple things, and it was this is kind of your era, I think. It was just, we could never balance it right, and so we just gave it to somebody else, and they were able to use it.
Well, the new ones, like I said, compared, and the price wise, the new ones, they're getting close to just plug and play now.
Yes, I was gonna say, my son August, who's in college in Millersville, I got him one for Christmas, and you should see the stuff. Yeah, like you're saying, like the amazing stuff that he's been able to create with it. It's pretty amazing.
And the new ones, I got a 4-color for school school, and that is remarkable. Not only how quick it is, but I can just throw. Now the color ones waste a lot of filament, so as for me, it's still hard. Like filament is so much cheaper than it used to be, but I'm still used to like the old days when it was $50 a spool. It's still hard to try to get a hold of. Now it's like $9 a spool or less. So, but it's come a long way. I mean, like I said, you had a podcast, you and Caden. I haven't seen Caden in a little while. I think the last time I saw him, I bought a white Boba Fett helmet. I think I bought that Boba Fett helmet from him right there.
I think you did. Yeah.
That's the last time but he's doing well too. So I'll have to have him on, because we
were talking about Rebel Cause, and that actually led to him. He was trained as a chef, but he started Rebel Cause as, just to help the homeless. Like I can remember, when he was a little guy, I mean, he was probably 6 years old, 5 years old. We were driving one time and we saw a homeless person, and he said, "Dad, where's that guy? What's that guy doing?" And I explained it, and he's like, "You mean he doesn't have a house?" Like, and like it bothered him for weeks. I remember, like, he would ask me, he's like, "Where do you think that guy's at?" Like, and then so when he did Rebel Cause, I think it was a kind of epiphany type of moment too. He's just like,
Yeah.
hey, we could do this thing fan based. We get all these Star Wars people together and we'll raise money. And he did all sorts of things. And then at some point, well, when COVID happened, he started at the place he was working as a chef. He was making meals for people who usually ate at school, people who were homeless, people who had weren't working, and he was making about 700 meals a week. And the city came up as like, hey, are you doing this right? That's was more of like kind of checking on him. And they said, they found out he was, and they're like, hey, you wouldn't want to hold manage or create a day shelter to get people off the streets during COVID. And he did, and he called them his guests, and he showed them dignity, and he saved lives. He got people help, through substance abuse. He got people, housing, and then he did so well that he had a night shelter, and that he did that for a while. And unfortunately, I think there's some politics and the grants and all that kind of thing, and that's what kind of soured him from it, which is a shame because he was featured on a lot of newscasts,
Yeah.
that type of thing. But so now that same entrepreneurial spirit though, he's now turned into something, the new venture that he calls Stetler Survival, and it's he's got a YouTube channel and podcast, and yeah, it's he's teaching survival instruction. It's really it's great. He just has that. He's always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and I'm like anybody. He can be immediate friends with anybody. Like that's really what's great. From like a homeless person, he calls a guest and shows dignity to somebody. That's on a whole other side of the scale. He impresses me because he can do that.
Yeah. That's just, it's always good when you get to see your kids. I mean, I wish they would grow up slower.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Like I said, it's mine. Zoe is out in LA now, so
I know.
And so before we wrap up, you're in post-production of Stray Ember.
Yes.
So when will we see? Is there an end in sight, or is it just still going through the tedious?
I would say there's an end in sight. I just definitely, if I can lock it down, all I have is the sound effects, and then I have to get other people involved with the music because unfortunately I'm not a John Carpenter or a Robert Rodriguez where they do their own music.
Yeah.
So I had people that with a blues band that wanted to do it like kind of almost a live type of thing where they'd watch it a couple times and try to like kind of and that was years ago, so I have to get back in touch with them and see if they're still interested in doing that. But yeah, so that'd be close. And like I said, the next thing's going to be indie western, I think. So
well, you have to keep us all informed, and you're welcome on this show anytime.
Thank you.
So if you're up on a Wednesday, you could hit me and Ken up, and we'll throw you on the show.
Okay. Yeah. I for a while there, I was cutting in. I've never saw your intro, by the way. When the intro, I never see the intro. I always see like, hey, Inflatable Falcon is live, and I'm like, oh, cool, and I'll watch for a while and comment. Because does you see that if you comment on? Oh yeah, you do.
We see the comments. The only comments that don't, for some reason, the Facebook comments don't come through, and that's, I think it's more my computer because I'm running this down in the basement on an old Mac.
Okay.
So, but the comments do come through. I mean, on YouTube, TikTok comments do not come through either. And again, I think it's more my computer and stuff like that. Because I have a few right here that are on TikTok, but they just don't, for some reason, don't go over on this computer. I think it's just this computer is so old that I can't update to the newest Chrome.
There we go.
But yeah, I'll have to upgrade one of my computers one of these days. But it's doing its job until it doesn't. But yeah, I give that to Safi, and I said, hey, can you just I wanted it campy feeling, and she was mad because I give her really crappy pictures of Ken and I, and she's like, this is the best I can do with the pictures you give me. I was like, okay. So,
Nice.
But I like that scene. I like the Pikes battle. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
I like the Pikes.
Makes me want to go back and watch it again. Actually, I mean, again, like I said, I don't think they completely nailed it with the Boba Fett stuff, the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But there's so much great stuff in it. Like I think it's because we wanted to see Boba Fett as the lone gunslinger,
Right.
and and more the Western part of it. I don't know. What Zoe think about it?
Well, I think she liked it, but she's probably in the same boat. But I also think Book of Boba Fett was a tough one to make because everything we wanted to see about Boba Fett they had already done with Mando.
With Mando, yeah.
Like if Boba Fett would have walked in a bar and beat a guy's head in and shot a bunch of people, they would have been, you just copied man,
Yeah.
So they were kind of in a no-win situation, I think.
I think Mandalorian's probably the best thing that's done in a while. I think that was close to perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Obi-Wan show is forgotten by everyone because they forget those wonderful battles between Obi-Wan and Vader.
Vader, yeah, that's true.
I mean, because I think we overthought. Like, I understand canon and keeping things, but because it changed what we thought. Like, we always thought that Vader hadn't seen Obi-Wan since Mustafar,
right?
But in reality, it didn't change the story that much. But we had 30 some years of it etched in our brain.
Yes.
If we all would have just let go, because that battle with Vader, that I think that not only hurt Obi-Wan, but it hurt Vader, mentally and physically as well.
Yeah. And I love seeing Hayden Christensen anytime now. Like,
I
love seeing Anakin. Older Anakin. Like in all these things that they've done lately, to see him again is pretty cool.
Yeah. I honestly just wish you remember what was it, the Disney show on Sundays in the 70s. It was just like I wish they would just do every Sunday a Star Wars show and you didn't know where the genre was coming from.
Yeah.
Like one week it could be Mando, one week it could be,
That would be cool. Yeah. I remember that perfectly. Like we used to stay at my grandmother's house all day Sunday, and that we'd wait until after the Wonderful World of Disney, and then we'd go home after that.
I think was it Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom?
Wild Kingdom was right after it. Yep.
Right after it.
Yep. So, some good stuff.
Some good branding with it. I remember something like from 30 or 40 years ago. So
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so where can people find you if they want to see any more of your stuff?
Yeah, I pretty much put everything now on jakestetler.com. So you can find my social through there, all of my socials through there, and just news about projects I'm working on and that type of thing. And I'll probably link this to that as well.
Yeah, and I'll send. What I'll do is I'll put all your stuff in the show notes when I post this up through the things. Probably do that tomorrow, and then I will also send you a copy of this video.
Nice.
So then you can just cut it up and use whatever parts you want to use, or
appreciate that. Yeah.
And like I said, you're welcome anytime. And I'm sure I'm not speaking out of place, but you can always join Zoe on her show too if you ever want to.
I had the honor of being on her show once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd hate to look how long ago that was.
I know Zoe. I wonder if she knows even. It's been a while.
Because they just hit. This is their 11th year of podcasting.
It's probably at least 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird when I can say my 20, is she 24? 20, yeah, she's 24. Has been podcasting for 11 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's a huge accomplishment too. That's really cool. I mean, she's been featured panels and all sorts of things too, right? So
yeah, she was at Celebration Tokyo with a panel. I did I think I did 2 panels. I did my first panel ever, I think, was in London. Wow. I did a London panel.
Nice.
She did a London panel with Matt Martin from Lucasfilm. Yeah, so she's been a busy person.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So, and she has March Madness running. So anyone that wants to go to Star Wars Geek Girl, they're running her Star Wars March Madness.
Okay.
I think it's on round 3 or something like that. So anyway, thanks for everyone listening. Thanks again. I'm going to run the outro, and then we'll be back. You and I will be back, but no one else will be back. So
All right.
we don't have an official outro because we've just been lazy. So I will just run our part of our intro back just to make everyone happy and hear our song.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much, and may the force be with you, everyone.
I've been running scams on the street since I was 10. I've been running scams on the street since I was 10.
Hey, hey, Mike, what do you see? A falcon that inflates for free. Hey, hey, Ken, what's the drill? Blue milk sipping gives me a thrill. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. Left, right, left, we're marching through. Cosplay helmets and a saber or two. Hey, hey, Mike, what's the plan? To nerd out harder than anyone can. The inflatable falcon takes the flight. George Lucas dreams in the starry night. Costume shop, we're dressed to play. Let's blast off into the fray. So grab your gear and join the crew. Mike and Ken got a show for you. Laughs and stars and a galaxy far. The Falcon's ready, let's raise the bar. Hey! Hey! Hey!
Hang on, let me see if it ends. Hang on.
Okay.
End the stream. Oh, there.